Welcome to the Mind of Basketball podcast, also known as the M.O.B podcast. I am Evan,
I'm Ja.
and this is our basketball podcast where we recap, break down, and analyze players and teams from the previous games from the previous day. How are you this Thursday afternoon, Ja?
Cooling.
You cooling? You cooling? That's good. That's
Yes,
good. I'm
sir.
cooling as well. I'm actually more than just cooling. I'm very happy and very excited to talk about these games that we witnessed last night because they were very entertaining and a lot happened around the association. So let's just jump right into it. First off, with the Celtics and the Sixers game, which featured, Kemba Walker in the second game back. Tatum was still out. And the Sixers who have been playing really well this season. And I'm just go. I'm just say basically how I thought this game went. So, I got distracted watching another game, which we would talk about
Yeah.
later. And the Celtics had a comfortable lead. So I'm thinking, okay, I think the Celtics can ride this wave, and win. Next
Yeah.
thing you know, I look up, the Sixers have the lead. And that's pretty much how the game went.
Oh yeah.
Celtics look like they could run away with this game, and then the Sixers just out of nowhere storm back, take the lead, and close out the game late in that fourth quarter.
Well, yeah. Let's talk about it from beginning to end. Joel Embiid had a monster night, and
Yes, he did. A 40-point double-double.
yes, a 40-point double, and you could, man, they was talking about it all night. Like, you know what I mean? For a dude to be that big, that physically imposing, and to have that much skill on the low block, but yet have the most softest touch, better than any guard in the league. Well, not better than any guard, but like better than most guards in the league. And to be that dominant with all of that together, all those tools, all those intangibles together is amazing. It's just watching him is so beautiful and it's so graceful. He was dominant from the first quarter. You could tell from the first quarter he was going to have a good game. Then you could start to see how, the Celtics start to build up. The Celtics start to build up a little bit of a run, and then the game remained close for most of the time. And then again, as you said, it looked like the Celtics had a comfortable lead, especially led by Jaylen Brown in the third quarter. And then due to defense and clicking with their athleticism and their spacing, the Sixers were able to run away with it in the fourth quarter. And that's what they did. They closed it out with mainly that same thing I just said, defense.
It's crazy how well they can do in this spacing, Elton Brand. Like especially like even Tobias Harris, who we really haven't talked about him this season, but he's having a really good productive season. He's been playing really well, really chill, really laid back. He's been getting easy shots, easy buckets, and that's because the spacing around him. There's not so many
Yeah.
defenders near him, where
Yeah.
he has to force a turnover, or he has to take a tough shot, or he has to pause and freeze. He doesn't know what to do, like he was like last season.
Yeah. And here's my thing, because Tobias Harris is a professional scorer whose main aspect is shooting. And when you are a shooter, you need those kind of comfort shots, those spacings, those abilities to have like a good enough room to raise up to make a shot. If you're on a team like he was on last season, which they're not doing anything to have that kind of benefit within the system, of course you're going to struggle because there's no movement, there's no spacing. So as a result, you can't get your open shots. But when
Mm-hmm.
you put him into something like this now that Doc Rivers has going, who's an amazing player coach, to mind you, then things start to open up for you. Then you start to feel more comfortable with your game. Then you start to build up more confidence, and then you start to feel like you could play in and you could help benefit the team more.
Yep. And as a scorer like him, they need to get in rhythm. They can't just sit and stay or
Exactly.
catch and shoot sometimes. They needs to be able to create their own shot. He couldn't create his own shot last year because of the amount of spacing, or it was harder for him to. Now you see how much easier it is now with the shooters around him, with the system they have, and Doc Rivers and all that. So
Exactly.
yeah, he played really well last night, and he's been playing really well throughout the season.
But why? But Elton Brand.
Elton Brand was the GM of the Sixers last year and of the previous years. He signed Al Horford. Everyone know Al Horford, big man, a
Yeah.
great player, a great player. We
Yeah.
signed Tobias Harris, 175 million, by the way. which I still don't think he deserves that 175 million. But no shame to Tobias Harris. Go get your money. You know,
Yeah.
if you could fool somebody like that, yeah. um, signed him. They had Embiid. They had Simmons who can't shoot. They had Josh Richardson, who's an okay shooter, but he needs to get in rhythm inside the paint.
Yeah,
So I just name to you all players that's best feature is getting to the hole.
exactly.
That's the problem. That's why the Sixers didn't work last year. Now take it over. Now take it back to this year and why they're playing so well. They have shooters around. Doc Rivers was an excellent coach. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention Brett Brown last year because I mean, what can you mention about him? He was. It's like the players are coaching themselves.
Exactly. And just and quick, so before we move on, like they
Mm-hmm.
traded all the shooters because before that, don't forget Philly had shooters before Elton Brand decided to trade them all away, and as a result, you
Or
have
not resign them, JJ Redick.
exactly. You see, like things like that, and then even though Al Horford is a person who has developed his game to stretch out because Al Horford could shoot. He could shoot. He
Yes.
probably can't shoot consistently, but he could shoot the deep ball. But it's just like that's not enough. Like again,
No, yeah, you
in the
need
front court.
shooters. Everybody there besides Simmons could shoot, but
Yeah,
you need shooters.
exactly.
Yeah.
I just want to
So,
say that.
but it's just so great how the Sixers are playing now, and it's a relief. But I just have to wait until the playoffs to see how well they produce in the playoffs.
Thank
Real
you,
quickly,
Doc.
real quickly. Let's hope we not throw a 3-1 lead. Real quickly, as for the Celtics, Kemba. Kemba played really well is in his second game back, which kind of felt like his return because that
Yeah,
last game against the Knicks didn't really feel like, you know,
embarrassing.
yeah, it was really bad for them. But he played really well. James Tice has some great production off the bench. They just needs to play some better defense down the stretch.
Yeah,
And they also missed some key time shots to get them back into the game. I mean, the Sixers went on that run and they took the lead, but the Celtics were down by 2,
yeah, they were down by
but they couldn't hit the shots.
touch. Yeah, and it be like that sometimes. Like you know what I mean. And just like what you said, Brown had a good game. Tice had a good game. Kemba, who's on a minutes restriction, had a really good game whenever he came in. And like it's just like you
And smart
take
as
good
well.
shots. Yeah, you and smart as well. And like
Yeah,
you
good
take
game. Yeah.
good shots. You just 50-50 is either it's going to miss or make, and it just went to the missing side. It didn't go your way.
Yeah, well, but they need somebody who can make their shots, and they're missing Tatum right now, still out. They need him back. You see, they need him back. But yeah, nonetheless, great win by the Sixers. We're looking forward to see how well they can improve down the line.
Yeah.
But all right, now the next game that happened prime time, next after that, which was the Suns and the new look Rockets. And basically, similarly, to the Sixers and the Celtics, Suns get a comfortable lead. Looked like they were about to run away with it. I mean, the Suns get a comfortable lead. Then, next thing you know, Rockets make a run, come within 5. But they need John Wall. They really do need John Wall.
Mm-hmm.
And it really felt like that. Because then after they made that little run, they were down by 5. Then the Suns was able to close it out
Yeah.
offensively and defensively
Yeah.
and win this game.
Yeah. That's the Rockets. They need John Wall back. He's a guy who can open up so much more for you and can help close out games with his playmaking ability and especially with his athleticism. Teams
Mm-hmm.
back away from that. Um, but just like what you said, but like let me highlight the Suns real quick as they got this win as they
Yeah,
needed to for a
I think
bounce
they're
back.
more of the talk. They're more to focus
Yeah,
on about
they're
in
more to
this game.
focus. You could see how this system, or not the system, but like you could see how as of recently they're trying to get DeAndre Ayton more into that flow, trying to get him with more touches because he's a really good big man. He's a really talented big man, young, talented big man. But yet, when you're playing with a guy like Booker, who's such an elite scorer, and you playing with guys like CP3 who can help you get easy buckets, it's just like, aren't they taking advantage of that? And you can see now they're starting to take advantage. He's starting to ball out. He's starting to get more touches. He's starting to do his thing down in the low block. He don't get me wrong, he has a good mid-range game. I just felt like he needs to work more on his outside presence though too, because the game is going in that direction, in which is like, in which you need to learn how to shoot regardless if you're a big or not. But
Hmm.
he's been balling. Devin Booker had after struggling the last game, he came back big time, hit some big shots, and that Suns team just looked good. They just look good.
Yep. Back to Aiton for a second. Like, yeah, they really, it seems like really over the past few games, they're really trying to integrate him into being more aggressive, trying to use Chris Paul and that duo with him and pick and rolls and, him cutting to the basket or him in a post up position. And yeah, I am on board with them doing that. He should be like that. He picked him first.
Yeah,
He was in the same draft class and he was picked ahead of Luka Doncic and Trey Young,
yeah,
and yet he's only averaging 13 and 12.
yeah.
He should not be a 13 and 12 score. He needs to
Yeah.
be 20. He needs to average 20 points a game.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I was gonna say, like, you know what I mean. We all know that he's not no talent. Who's a 13-10 guy. This is a
Yeah.
dude who's a more of like a 22-15 rebound kind of guy. Like, you know what I mean. With his talent, his ability, and what he could do, especially down there in the low block, he's supposed to be averaging 22. You need to get him more involved. Just get him more involved.
Yes. Yep. And I think now I've watched them more and more. I think that mentally, in terms of leadership and like mental capability with basketball and the team,
Yeah.
Chris Paul helps Devin Booker the most.
Hmm.
In terms of skill, he helps Aiton the most.
Yeah.
Am I wrong in that? Do you disagree with that?
Now I can say what you're saying. You said in mental ability.
Yeah, like immensely, like and being more of a leader,
I'm
being
being,
more,
being more,
yeah,
being
being more with the team, being more of a team player. He's gonna help Devin Booker more down the line for the future. In terms of skill, he's gonna help Aiton more down the line. Even though
yeah,
he's gonna help both of them with
yeah, yeah,
each.
yeah. I see what you're saying. I see what you're
Yeah.
saying. Because, like, again, you always would love a guy that can help complement you real well. And with Aiton's game, you could clearly see Chris Paul is a point guard that's a made match in heaven for him. Like, this is
Yes.
God sent for him. Like, when you have a guy who could who who's great IQ, great playmaker, could get you open in an instant easy with his way of thinking and his way of movement of everything on and off the ball. It's just like, it helps you out as a big man. You're gonna always get good feeds as long as he got the ball in his hands, getting you to the paint, helping you get easy shots, get you around the rim easily. Like, you seen what happened with Blake. Blake was a talented player, but the moment he got Chris Paul, what happened? Took off.
Mm-hmm.
And you can say that about any big man that played with Chris Paul. They took off big time because he made the game so much more easier for him. So yeah.
Yep. I'm thinking back earlier his career with David West.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention that. Just how he can help big men and their potential. So yeah, but a great and much needed win by the Suns,
Yeah.
as now they're 8-5, and I hope that they can go on the right trend to more of their winning ways.
Yeah.
But all right, now as I mentioned, I did get distracted while watching the Sixers and the Celtics game because there was another game that piqued my interest that I wanted to catch, and that so happens to be the Cleveland Cavaliers up against the big three, the debut officially of James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving, who is back after missing 7 games. it didn't go in the positive direction for them
Yeah, it
as
didn't.
they lost in their first game together to Cleveland, 147-135 in a double overtime thriller. Now I'll go first with my thoughts.
Go ahead.
First, I'm not going to overreact. I'm not going to overreact at all.
Yeah,
I see. I know people are already doing it, but this was very funny. This was very
yeah, their flaws. Their flaws showed this one.
yes, their flaws, and I know what people had talked about their flaws being bench depth and defense. Bench depth, I'm not really too worried about, you know,
Yeah.
because Miami Heat big three didn't have a good bench.
Yeah, they didn't. Nah, they didn't have that good. They didn't have that talented of a bench. They had
Yeah.
more veteran presence and stuff. That's it.
Other big threes and other great teams didn't have a great bench, so I'm
Bench.
not
Yeah.
really worried about defense. However, and remember when we was talking about them playing against the Bucks, you could see how, yeah, that can be a weakness. You could see if you want to beat the Nets team, look at back at the game and look at all the things the Bucks did well,
Yeah.
just offensively. Because defensively, you cannot stop James Harden, Kyrie, or Kevin Durant at
No,
all. One on one, double team, you can't.
you
So let's
can't. No.
just leave that alone. You can try, don't just sit there. Try, but that's just not gonna happen unless they get an off night, which you will be very lucky in which even one of them gets an off night.
It's a once in a blue moon.
Yeah. So you have to win offensively because defensively is not their very strength, and you saw because they couldn't stop Colin Sexton, who just tore them up in overtime and double overtime. I mean, if you was watching the game, it was a show.
Oh,
Like it was a
I watched that part.
show.
I didn't watch
Uh,
the whole game. I watched that part though.
I couldn't believe it. The shots that he was taking, and I'm like, he's not making it, and he made it. It was ridiculous.
Hey, hey, if you know the dude's nickname, he's called the Young Bull for a reason.
It was a massive performance by Colin Sexton, who
Yeah,
scored Cleveland's 20 after regulation. He scored 20 after regulation. That means in 10 minutes, because OT is 5.
5, yeah.
He scored 20. And he had Cleveland's last 20. And then he was responsible for their last 23, in which he made a clutch pass to Torian Prince, who in his debut against the Nets, his former team,
Yeah.
balled out against his former team. Not only did he ball out against his former team, Jared Allen balled out against his former team, having a double-double and 4 blocks. This is what I'm not gonna overreact. This is just funny. So funny. Like you can't write books better than this. Like it was so crazy. This whole game was just so crazy to watch. And then because Cleveland had it, if you watch the game, Cleveland had a comfortable lead
Yeah.
in that third quarter and in that fourth quarter. But when you have just offensive talent like James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie, it was only a matter of time. It was only a matter of
Matter
time.
of time until they came back. Yeah, you
Yeah,
go
and they
into that.
willed themselves back offensively. And there was 2 times in the game when I'm thinking, they're gonna lose this game. Cleveland's gonna lose this game. It was in
Yeah.
that fourth quarter when the Nets had went on their run, and somehow Cleveland was able to stay within it and force that overtime. By the way, that shoulder, that forearm that carried, that was a foul. That was a foul that he had on Colin
That
Sexton.
was a foul. That was
That
a
was
foul.
a foul. They overturned it. I guess because I guess the odds maker was in the Nets' favor, so they
Yeah.
wanted to make sure they get all their money. But that was foul. So, I was surprised that Cleveland stayed in the game, and then in OT when the Nets were up by like 7, because KD had a 3, and they had a little mini run. I'm thinking, oh yeah, this is it. And Colin Sexton led them. Larry Nance made a big 3. I
Mhm.
believe that was in OT, right?
Yeah,
Or
yeah, that
was it?
was
Oh yeah,
no, yeah, that was in OT. That was in OT, I believe.
yeah. And then of all people, Jeff Green hit a 3. Not KD, not Kyrie, not Harden. Jeff Green hit a 3 off of the pass from Harden, who had a triple double, by the way.
Yeah, and there was that
And
one play. Yeah, and there was also one play in which Osman airball. But yeah, Colin Sexton was there to make it a
yes,
one
yes,
point
yeah,
deficit.
making one possession. And then Sexton, when I'm thinking, okay, they're not gonna win. Sexton just 3 right in Kyrie's face on his grill. Yeah, cool. Y'all need to be cooled down. Like I'm too hot right now. That's what he was showing. It was
Yeah,
he had it. He just had
young
it.
bull, the
He had
young
it.
bull.
Once he made that shot, it was over. Once he made that shot, it was over. Then second overtime hit, and it was the Colin Sexton show. It was the Colin Sexton show. I mean, it was really amazing to watch.
Yeah,
Somehow, some way, They were the talk of the town, and they beat this Nets team. I couldn't believe what I was watching.
Nah, the bench was hilarious. And
Oh yeah,
Kevin Love
Darius Garland jumped on Kevin
yeah,
Love's
yeah,
back.
yeah, I was crying.
Put up the footage. Put up the footage. I mean, but it was such a good game to watch. It was. I mean, you could tell off the excitement that I'm feeling right now. Game ended. It was long ended, but it was such a fun game to watch. Such a performance by Colin Sexton in 42 points. And even with that performance offensively, like Kyrie, KD, and Harden, Kyrie had 37. KD had 38 and 12 and 8 assists. Harden had a triple double. And yet with all that, hey, saying is defense wins championships.
Yeah, defense was
So
championship.
yeah, but as I said, I'm not gonna overreact. They're still championship contenders. They're still favorites to win it all.
Yeah,
But defensively, they might have to do a little bit of adjustments, you know. But yeah, that's one of my whole spew. Now I'm gonna let you talk because I did a lot of talking. So now I'm gonna let you go and say whatever you
it's
want.
time for me to really say. The three-headed monster still look good. Like for debut together, they really look good. Kyrie came back. He shut up all the pawns. Let me stop. In terms of do it feel like it was he? But I felt like everybody knew that Kyrie was gonna have a good night regardless. It was just more of talking about who had the sacrifice, and it became funny in the end because down the stretch I was gonna be like, I wonder who's gonna take the last shot. Who they gonna give it to? Is gonna give it to KD, Kyrie, Harden? But
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like, and it's funny that you say sacrifice because Harden did a little bit of sacrifice in terms of point totaling. He did a lot of the passing. That pass that he hit to Green, he was the one that did that pass.
did
Like
it? Yeah,
he only had 21. And I
yeah,
mentioned earlier, KD and Kyrie had over 30.
yeah,
So he did a little bit of sacrificing. And if they use that a lot, I feel like that won't be the issue.
yeah,
But we gotta have to see more of them, obviously.
yeah. Of course. But yeah, they still had it going, and like again, you can never give this team a bit of opportunity because the offense that they had,
Yes,
they,
jeez.
they could they could come back in a millisecond. You wouldn't even notice it. Like you could blink, and they up by like 10
Yeah,
after they
almost like the KD Warriors.
exactly
Curry
yeah.
Clay. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh. Remember how many times look at how many times they were down double digits and just with a snap of a
That's
finger,
but
they were up in double digits.
exactly, and it all started from it's not even the fourth quarter where you think crush times happened. Is third quarter the moment that
Yes,
second
that's
half
the third.
started
That's the
happening.
quarter. That's the quarter.
That's the quarter where everything changes. But like, yeah, they had it going. But like, man, Colin Sexton had look. Let me tell you something. If you didn't watch him his rookie year, then obviously you don't know. But Colin Sexton's been doing this for a good minute now. He hasn't been doing things like this, like going off crazy, but he has been proving people wrong and showing up and putting in making an attempt to put Cleveland on the map. Don't get me wrong, Cleveland.
And then wasn't he the one that tried to get LeBron to return and LeBron left still?
Yeah, yeah.
He said, "Come on, LeBron, let's do it." Yeah, LeBron wasn't doing
It's like,
it.
yeah, enjoy. Like,
Yeah, I'm gonna go to LA.
but yeah, it was just like he's been like this for a good minute now. He had an underrated season last year because he averaged 20 last season, and people didn't notice it because again he's in Cleveland and nobody's really
Mm-hmm.
paying attention. And like now he has an opportunity. Now you're starting to see it more because now the fact that Cleveland is actually in a winning kind of situation right now, in which they're doing better than most teams in the Eastern Conference right now. So like they're getting more of that notoriety, they're getting that more attention and everything. It's just like this if you did not know who Colin Sexton was, what a perfect moment for him to put his name out there and get noticed by because the real ones already knew who he was. It was just now everybody in the world in the basketball world, which includes casuals, finally need to know who he was now.
And that is a great point to leave off for that game. You came to see Kyrie, KD, and Harden, and
And
left
you
with
left
Colin
with
Sexton.
there you go.
There you go. But yeah, a great game, just a great performance. And I'll be keeping my eye on, of course. Well, everybody's gonna be keeping their eye on the Brooklyn Nets. But
Yeah.
now I gotta keep my eye on the Cavs, who have been up and down sometimes with their wins and been inconsistent with their wins. But hopefully, with this big win, they can head on to the right direction and get more into that positive range. So right now, they're sitting at 500.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
All right. There's other stuff that happened too. Association. We'll go over them briefly. You want to talk first? I think what you were supposed to say was, "Oh, did you see that game where Cole Anthony hit that buzzer beater?"
Oh yeah. There we go.
Wow, yeah. Pull up the footage, by the way. I mean, yeah, he's not prepared. He never is, by the way.
My apologies, partner.
Your partner, what the hell? We married?
Bro, like
your partner, you want to be my life partner. uh, anyway, yes, the Magic and the Timberwolves faced off, and of course, the Timberwolves, in embarrassing fashion, lost by a Cole Anthony buzzer beater, and they lost 97-96. And this was a game where the Timberwolves were up by 10 with 3 minutes to go. And of course, the Timberwolves haven't been relevant since Kevin Love, and they haven't been really relevant since KG. So yeah, they lost this game in embarrassing fashion.
this game winner shows you one thing. Yeah, this game winner shows you one thing. Hey, he's better than his dad, Greg Anthony.
I mean, Greg Anthony was a role player. He's looking to be more than a role player. So
yeah.
I mean, come on. But
but my apologies, partner. I didn't mean to mess up right there. Sorry.
Unbelievable. It's funny. When I look at the game and I see C. Anthony, I'm like, Melo on the Magic. But yeah, that was a great.
That's actually the same thing with the Cavs though, because the
Cavs. Yeah, I see D Wade. Yeah, I'm like, hold on. And now she said that's a white guy, Dean Wade.
He's like, I hope he has a better career than me. I'm like, that would never happen, but okay.
But yeah, that was a great game winner. That was a clutch shot by Cole Anthony, and that was a great come from behind victory by the Magic, who now snapped their embarrassing 6-game winning streak. And remember, the Magic started off 4-0. Now, can they use this win as fire to get back onto the winning ways?
Yeah,
because they got a lot of good talent. And I know once they lost Markelle Fultz, they kind of been on the downside.
Yeah.
But now let's see if they can use this win and use it as fuel. Now go up.
And you made a mistake. It's losing streak, not winning streak.
That's why I said losing streak. I said winning streak.
You said winning streak by accident when you was talking.
Yeah, I'm making mistakes. I'm acting like you.
Yeah,
all right. Well, all right. I don't think it's. Oh, real quickly, the Hawks and the Pistons played in an overtime game. I happened to catch that game late. That was a really insane little 4-quarter battle. And Trae Young and John Collins was just, that is the duo of the future. If John Collins can get it together in terms of offensively, that is the duo of the future because he has a lot of potential. Trae Young's already there. He needs to get there.
Yeah.
But I'll be looking forward to how they can come. That's a young duo, and they are the future of that Hawks team. And Clint Capella with a 27-26 light, 2020 game, by the way. But I just wanted to touch upon that briefly. But all right, now with that being said, finally.
Also, Luka's triple double.
Oh yeah, Luka had another triple double, but everybody knows that. Come on, it's Luka. Everybody's like, Luka had a triple double. What else is in the news? But all right, now it's time prediction times for tonight's set of games, and these only 3 games, but these should be really good and really interesting. First, starting off with the primetime game, of course, TNT. It being a possible finals matchup, and this could have been a finals matchup last year, but one team messed up. It's featuring the Los Angeles Lakers, defending champions, come off that embarrassing loss against the Warriors, up against the Milwaukee Bucks, coming off against that tough loss against the Brooklyn Nets. What do you have?
I love Giannis, but I got the Lakers.
You got the Lakers,
yeah,
and I got the Bucks. Oh, this should be interesting. I'm really looking forward to this matchup. I'm really
Yeah.
looking forward to this matchup from both teams. I want to see how they play.
Yeah.
And next, the next primetime game, which features again the New Orleans Pelicans up against the Utah Jazz. Of course, the last matchup featured a blowout in Utah, and we'll see if the Pelicans bounce back. But because our predictions, who do you have?
Just based on what you said right there, I got the Pelicans. I feel like they need this bounce back.
Yeah, they do need this bounce back, but they're not gonna get it, in my opinion. I got the Jazz, who are on a 6-game winning streak, and I think they can just improve on and go on a 7-game winning streak. And lastly, because I said there was 3 games on, lastly, the New York Knicks up against the red hot Golden State Warriors. Who do you got?
Yeah, I got the Warriors in this one. I don't think the Knicks got a chance.
I wouldn't. Nah, that's disrespectful. I wouldn't say they got a chance. I would say they don't have a chance. But
Okay, that was disrespectful. They do have a chance, but their chances are slim. There we go. Yeah, that's better.
yeah, I have have the Warriors in this as well. And matter of fact, hold on, let me just check real quickly the Curry status of breaking or passing.
Reggie Miller.
Yeah, Reggie Miller. Last night he had 4 3-pointers. He was 13th. That means he only needs
Needs 9 more.
nine
Yeah.
more threes, and then he passes Reggie Miller. Just think about that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is crazy. He is on track to shatter the 3-point record of Ray
Yeah,
Allen.
yeah, and when you look at it too, he's nowhere near retirement yet. So just imagine by the time he retires, how this list gonna be looking.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But all right, we went on long enough, so now I think it's time to wrap things up. Any final thoughts?
I just want to say this real quickly because in the Sixers versus Celtics game, I kept hearing it, and they were right with what they were saying, but Ben Simmons has not unlocked his full potential yet, and I need for him because I even heard Gilbert Arenas say this once on his podcast, and he was real right when he said this. But I need for Ben Simmons to be more aggressive and have that mindset in terms of scoring. Score, get a bucket by just driving and attacking. Be like, even though you're not gifted like Giannis in terms of physicality, in terms of length and everything, you need to be in that mode of getting to the basket all the time and feeling like, yo, I'm gonna get easy 22 to 25 off of just attacking the rim.
Like, that's all people are asking for. Why can't he be similar like Giannis? Giannis can't shoot just like you.
Mm-hmm.
But you see how Giannis plays?
Yeah,
Sure, he averages about like maybe like 28, 29. You don't have the physical capabilities like you said, but we need like 22. It's like, come on, man. You're a better passer than Giannis. Giannis is a good passer, but you're a better passer than he is.
exactly.
That's
You're
all
better.
we're asking from Ben Simmons.
You're a better passer, better playmaker. Um, I make the case that you're a better ball handler, but of course Giannis is a better defender than you, of course. But
Mm.
it's just like, you know what I mean. Like, people call you coming into the league. People say you were the next LeBron. Let me tell you something. LeBron greatest asset may be passing, but LeBron is one of the greatest scorers we ever seen. Also, and that's the thing. You cannot be getting compared to LeBron just because you're passing. You got to be that scorer. Like, you know what I mean? If they want to set more of like a Magic Johnson, then yeah, I can understand that. Probably Magic Johnson is more flashy than you in terms of his playmaking ability, and it's probably more wise and more better than you. But that's more of an accurate comparison to LeBron James, because that means you got to be putting up buckets in order to
Mm.
do that. And he hasn't been, he's always been hovering. And don't get me wrong, he's still put up all-star numbers in terms of the position and who he is as a talent. But it's just like that point production need to go up more. That point production of yours need to go up a little bit more. That's not enough for the team.
Well, I'm not gonna blame him about the LeBron comparison. He never made the comparison. The media and everybody else, and we, our fans made that comparison. So I'm not gonna say that that's his fault for living up. So I'm gonna say, don't be the next LeBron, be the next Ben Simmons. But right now, the next Ben Simmons is looking to have YouTube videos in 5 to 10 years saying how he was had all this potential in the world, and he was a good player. He was a really good player, made a few all-star teams, but then that's it.
Yeah.
Be more than that, because you should be more than that.
Yeah.
And I think that is a great point, a great topic to leave off of. So,
My bad. I just wanted to say that. I ain't mean to keep
no,
you.
no, I completely understand because I have those same frustrations with Ben Simmons as well. And I'm sure Philly fans do as well, even more than me do. So, yeah. Well, leaving off with that for now. Thank you guys for watching today's pod. Make sure you tune into tomorrow's podcast. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Jeez.
And also follow IG down in the description below.
And once again, I'm Evan.
And I'm Ja.
And this was the Mind of Basketball Podcast.